How does one single person become an entire art collective? Kim Noble, a 48-year-old single mother from the UK, has 12 genius painters living inside her. Even more mind-blowing, an art competition in the UK made an exception to allow 5 of her altars to register together as 5 separate contestants. This is perhaps the most jaw-dropping feature of personality splitting. So here is the question: just how many selves can one body hold? And how do these personalities coexist, battle, and ultimately reconcile with one another? Today, we're diving into this multiverse hidden inside a single body. Welcome to Mind and Meaning. I'm your host. The most widely accepted way for the public to identify split personalities is through the distinct character of each alter. In fact, the differences between a patient's various personalities are practically as vast as the differences between two separate people in real life. Their preferences, accents, temperaments, handwriting, and even their gender, nationality, and talents can be completely different. Even within the exact same hobby, different personalities will express themselves in starkly unique ways. Kim Noble, a 48-year-old single mother from the UK, developed multiple personality disorder due to severe childhood abuse. At one point, she carried up to 20 different personalities inside her, which eventually decreased and stabilized at around 12. While clinical cases themselves are no longer a novelty, this particular case serves as a textbook template for illustrating how distinctly different personalities can be. Around 2005, Kim followed the advice of an art therapist and began learning to paint as a way to relax. Originally, this was a therapy method intended only for the personality of Kim, and the other personalities weren't expected to participate. However, in a twist no one could have dreamed of, all 12 of the personalities inside Kim turned out to be genius artists. What's more, each personality had a completely different artistic style. Some were melancholic, some were bright and cheerful, some excelled at abstract art, and one even preferred sculpting. Each of Kim's personalities has their own name. In her daily life, she frequently switches roles among these 12 different altars, and each altar creates their own artwork according to their own vision and style, entirely unaffected by any of the others. Just 10 months later, Kim held her first art exhibition, showcasing the diverse paintings created by the 12 artists within her. The work of each of Kim's altar artists deeply surprised and won the recognition of industry professionals. Even more interesting is that an art competition in the city of Chichester, UK, went so far as to make an exception, allowing 5 of Kim's personalities to register and compete as 5 separate contestants. Over the past 4 years, the 12 artists inside her, some of whom have now disappeared, have created over 200 pieces in wildly different styles, holding 27 exhibitions in art galleries across various European countries. Their work has won high acclaim in the art appraisal world and is increasingly being purchased and collected by art connoisseurs at premium prices. How many personalities currently remain within Kim is something perhaps only her primary therapist knows and is beyond our knowledge. However, what is certain is that through the common thread of art, Kim has not only created an extraordinary artistic miracle, but has also found a highly effective gateway to her treatment. This makes her far more fortunate than many others living with split personalities. Many films and television shows have featured the phenomenon of split personalities, so the general public is mostly familiar with the concept. In reality, however, the existence of 2 or more personalities within a single person is an extremely rare psychological phenomenon. According to literature, there have only been about 100 confirmed cases to date. The official medical term for split personality is Dissociative Identity Disorder, DID. When someone shows us 2 radically different sides of themselves, we might jokingly say they have a split personality. But in reality, patients genuinely suffering from DID often harbor multiple personalities at once. Even more astonishingly, the number of these personalities is constantly in flux. Similar personalities may fuse together, while new ones continually emerge. Among psychiatrists who understand this, Some have marveled that the process of personality splitting and fusing looks incredibly like the division and fusion of cells. People with two or more personalities have distinct names, and when they manifest different alters, even their handwriting and brainwave patterns are completely different. In other words, the two or more personalities appearing in one body are essentially equivalent to two or more independent people with their own ways of thinking and behaving. Generally speaking, if individuals with multiple personality disorder are left to their own devices by society and their families, the number of their personalities tends to increase. However, if they receive effective treatment from professionals, the number of personalities typically decreases gradually. Not all multiple personalities share common ground. Every single alter in a DID patient is stable, fully developed, and possesses its own distinct thinking patterns and memory, meaning they each go about their own business. The split-off personalities can be incredibly diverse, encompassing different genders, ages, races, and even species. They take turns appearing to control the patient's behavior, during which the original personality is usually completely unconscious and has no memory of that block of time. This is why some patients often wake up and find themselves in an entirely different place. Typically, at the onset of this splitting phenomenon, the original personality, the one that existed before the splitting occurred, also called the host personality, is completely unaware of their existence. Therefore, even if patients notice gaps in their memory, they have no way of knowing they have multiple personalities. In some severe cases, the host personality has even slept for over a decade. Here is one such case. In 1857, a man named Ansel Bourne began suffering from severe headaches, which eventually left him blind, deaf, and mute. Yet, not long after, he miraculously made a full recovery. He credited this to the grace of God and decided to spend the rest of his life spreading God's teachings. Over the next 30 years, he divided his time between preaching and working on his farm in Rhode Island. On January 17, 1887, he suddenly vanished. When he woke up on March 4 of that same year, he found himself living in a small town in Pennsylvania, running a convenience store under the name of A.J. Brown. In 1890, while in a trance state, the personality of Brown emerged once again and gave a detailed account of his experiences during that period in 1887. Although Brown mentioned he seemed to have heard of a man named Bourne, he never realized that he himself had once been born. This case became the textbook example of a host personality falling into a prolonged state of dormancy. Sometimes, split-off personalities are aware of each other's existence, while in other cases they have no awareness of one another, which leads to severe lost time. However, among the split-off personalities, there is often one who knows absolutely everything. If this personality is willing to cooperate, therapists can gather incredibly valuable information from them, making them the ultimate key to treating the disorder. Here is an example. A girl under the pseudonym Sybil graduated from college with an IQ score of 170, making her a certified genius. After graduation, she worked as a high school teacher, and her life seemed completely normal. However, while pursuing her master's degree at Columbia University in 1954, she became deeply distressed by her worsening memory loss. Experiencing memory decline while pursuing a degree is one of the hardest things to accept for an ambitious, high-achieving young woman. Because of this, she had no choice but to seek help from psychiatrist Cornelia Wilbur. Through a hypnotized Sybil, Dr. Wilbur learned that Sybil had been brutally abused by her schizophrenic mother during her early childhood. To psychologically cope with this trauma, Sybil's personality had split at an early age. 3 new personalities began to appear alternately. Over the next 20 years, another 12 personalities emerged. Among these personalities were a religious fanatic, a home-loving housewife, a seductive temptress, a woman calling herself Antoinette, and 2 male personalities. In short, Sybil's condition was incredibly severe, and her host personality, Sybil, was aware of all of this. Understanding the full picture, Sybil eventually agreed to undergo treatment. When she began her therapy, she was a young woman in her prime, but she never expected that the treatment would last for 11 years. Through 11 years of meticulous therapy, the doctor continuously used guidance and hypnosis to help her similar personalities merge and restructure, even creating new personalities to integrate others or improve her condition. Ultimately, these 16 personalities slowly merged into a new 17th personality. This treatment was a resounding success, and Sybil went on to become a well-known artist in New York. Splitting stems from conflict, healing stems from unity. Sybil's recovery is a highly persuasive and classic example. It can be said that any method for curing split personalities or potential personality splits lies in aligning one's own cognition. If you let your conflicting thoughts run wild, your personality will inevitably drift. If you can unify your thoughts and cognition, the illness can heal without medicine. Splitting stems from conflict. Healing stems from unity. Whether it is Ansel Bourne, who woke up in a convenience store after a sudden disappearance, Kim Noble, who created artistic miracles with her 12 personalities, or Sybil, who ultimately moved toward integration, they all, in extreme ways, show us the struggles and reconciliations of the human mind. These words are not just a medical conclusion, they read more like a motto for life. Every single one of us, to some degree, harbors conflicting thoughts, wanting to work hard, but also wanting to lie down and do nothing, wanting to be brave, but also wanting to shrink back. If left unchecked, these small conflicts can quietly grow into another self inside our minds. Therefore, the ultimate cure for this mental tug-of-war boils down to just 4 words. Accepting yourself, acknowledge your contradictions, face your weaknesses, and unify your cognition. Only then will the others living inside your heart be kept from suddenly taking over the steering wheel of your life. Thank you for listening to Mind and Meaning. See you next time.